Hello, Steve here. Welcome to the Christian Objectivist. Even by me saying it, I created this space. It's like, like Nietzsche said, and Dostoevsky perhaps indicated, even Stefan Molyneux has indicated, take away God from people that aren't capable of generating their own morality and ethics. If someone isn't capable of conceiving the world without God, you better still you better give him God still. Nietzsche, I think by saying God is dead, like, people just jumped on that and ran with it. But I think what accompanied those words is like, if God dies, there won't be enough bloody water to wash out all the blood. And what followed half a century later, like 100 million dead with the atheists, the communists, and the like. Mao, yes. Stalin and Hitler is the right side. So you clicked on it. What did Ayn Rand miss? What should have Ayn Rand touched on some more? She mentioned everything. Yeah, I'd like to think so, but do you think that she may have known about the Pareto distribution principle? It's not just the 80-20 rule, it's the square root rule, where the square root of the people that are in a particular company, organisation, society as a whole, the square root of that whole group. Collectivists, you should be all individuals. Come on. If you're an individual and you run a company, like Dagny Taggart had to manage all her people, right? So that's an organisation. Howard Rourke, a bit less of an organisation. He's the lone wolf, the lone sole trader. Built the tallest skyscraper in the world of the time. But you're still part of a group. You had to then take on all the construction workers to build the tallest skyscraper in regard to Howard Rourke, right? And Dagny had to manage all those people, some of them less competent than others, but she was able to get most of the competent people together in one place to enable the train company to flourish. So, out of 10 people, pretty much 3 people will do half the work. Out of 100 people, 10 times 10, 10 people will be doing half the work. Up that to 1,000 people, like 300, 30 people will be doing half the work. 10,000 people? You get it. So the higher the number goes, the number of people that produce half the output of a particular organisation, company, whatever, that's how the Pareto distribution works. The Pareto distribution principle also enables, there's no stopping it, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And Ayn Rand, objectivism does address those sort of issues. A lot of it is government induced, crony capitalism, all that sort of thing. But even without collectivist philosophy, the Pareto distribution still rears its ugly head. Should it be an ugly head? No, like, it's not really an ugly head, it's just what happens. Like, even, if God isn't part of the universe, only a small number of matter in the universe makes up all the mass. Most of the mass, for example, or a certain amount of minerals and oil is found in a very small amount of spots of land around the globe, as another example. I'm dying here with an example with the Pareto distribution principle. So it's not just the 80-20 rule, it's the square root of anything produces pretty much half the output. What else would Ayn Rand have missed? Gold? Fiat currency? A little bit of this sort of comment is borrowed off some of the principles, concepts. A little bit is mine. Actually, a lot of it is mine. Even gold is a fiat. Gold is also controlled, legislated in the US. Many that would listen to this know about the whole gold confiscation thing in 1933, and then gold came back in 1971 when Nixon closed the gold window and all that sort of thing. Or was it 1976 where the public was able to buy it like with their own hands again in the US? But gold, when there's legislation against gold and buying gold, and if you buy gold you have to be particularly more than a couple of ounces, like I think here in Australia if you buy more than $10,000 worth, like, you have to be registered as a buyer. Come on, gold isn't totally independent. Even with Bitcoin, blockchain, come on, blockchain, it's all there. It can be yanked from under us at any time. Gold has a bleed, a percent or two of storage if you have ample amounts each year. How about the US dollar? Oh, it's going to fail. Don't you think it failed in 1933? Don't you think it also failed? It defaulted in 1971. Don't you think it also defaulted, failed, many other instances after that? The Basel banking standards, when you change derivative holdings proportions from 10% to 3% to 0.5%. Don't you think that's a default? When the whole world is now under one pretty much monetary roof, all currencies which are fiat in the world are pretty much linked, going down in step-by-step fashion, being devalued step-by-step wise. They've got us by the short and curlies. Isn't that a default in itself? Isn't it also a default when calculating your holdings and LIBOR rate, overnight rate, London interbank overnight rate, collateral debt obligations. When those sort of things start creeping into the banking system, don't you think also that may be a signature indicator, marker that the US dollar should have defaulted multiple times by now, but because everybody is joined at the hip in the banking system, the Bank of International Settlements and all that sort of thing, when you start to when you provide collateral as your debt obligations as collateral with the whole interbank overnight rate, if you're dealing in currencies in that fashion, the US dollar has failed multiple times. That LIBOR rate may indicate you can pretty much default multiple times without us knowing. We might have those physical dollars and soon to be that digi currency sort of, digital decentralized finance and the like, circulating throughout the economy. By 2030, we could have the equivalent of defaulting multiple more times. You just think of another rate, another collateralized debt obligation equivalent. You just thrust it into the banking system, and that's another default. We might be the equivalent of a yesteryear default every 18 months or so, controlling there used to be the plunge protection team, that sort of thing. You don't need that. When you just put more zeros into the banking system. If things don't work out and you just put more zeros on, we could be defaulting every single day. When there is the limitations of drugs on the market, when there was a dozen drugs that people would get addicted to, and now there's 300 different types of drugs. You have limitations on the 300 different type of drugs, then there's 5,000 different more additional 5,000 different types of drugs come onto the market, and that's what can happen in the banking system and currencies and the economy. The economy itself is a fiat, a confidence, a decree, and that's why the right and the left squabble, while we just we probably won't get into situations of civil war and that sort of thing, and end of times, where the Christian fundamentalists would always perpetually have believed through the millennia, through the ages, that we're always in end times, even now. Ayn Rand, and in her literature, her books, her philosophy, say that the jungle is enclosing. It's getting closer. It's enclosing around us, and we just gotta flee philosophically and physically, the equivalent of Galt's Gulch, and then everything will be fine. The Pareto principle and entropy. Ayn Rand and objectivism doesn't quite answer entropy as well. The average Fortune 500 company has a life expectancy of 3 or 4 decades. This whole, the Dow Jones in the last 100 years has gone up so many 1,000%, and this and that, and if you change the index over every few years, you probably still would have lost money if you had your money in the Dow Jones in 1938. You might be still down because the Dow Jones has exclusions and inclusions, right? And a few of those companies are gone belly up, so that's 100% loss. Yeah, there's IBM's not in there anymore. 3M. Yeah, I'm not sure which ones have been in there since World War II, or since before World War II, but yeah, basically you take out a few and you keep the index the same, it's deceiving. Real estate always goes up. Oh, okay, it always goes up, and fair enough, it has. But debt obligation goes to the stratosphere. Of course, real estate goes up. You keep on reducing the interest rates down to zero. Well, of course, real estate continues to go up in a lifetime. Therefore, it's always happened. In the 19th century, real estate was down for the whole century, flat to down in the whole Western world. So entropy, there you go, entropy and the Pareto distribution principle, objectivism doesn't quite address fully. So there you go. My thoughts on the US dollar and every currency in the world has probably defaulted multiple times already, and because we still have air conditioning, refrigeration, cars and cocktails, whatever food tickles your fancy, the fine food out there, which is financed by the cheap interest rates and that sort of thing, people that think they're rich and all that sort of thing, great producers of food, and yeah, fine, beautiful, but there's a few little hidden principles that objectivism should understand a bit more. And no, I didn't Bible bash today, because I don't really Bible bash. I just understand that where we are, we can't ignore how we got here. And yes, even though objectivism is whole proof, existence has a way to have a few little additions in there which you haven't really addressed. And yeah, that's just a couple of things in video number 3 to have on board. Even in Galt's Gulch, maybe John, maybe Dagny, whoever, like a handful of people out of the perhaps 30 that were there would end up with all the wealth after a while. There's no equality in Galt's Gulch either. Yes, you throw a few pennies to the nice bread bakery maker and the bread maker, the bakery, and the wonderful music. There's a few little gold pieces every other month, but even in Galt's Gulch, a handful of people will end up with most of the resource. And yeah, even in Galt's Gulch, no one will be equal. That's the objectivist utopia, and at the end of Atlas Shrugged, everyone's happy. But even in that situation, it is very possible that tyranny can ensue. And even in Galt's Gulch, the equivalent of, if it ever happens, someone's going to find you. And you know, if the hodlers of Bitcoin find a Gulch equivalent, a nation, a Bitcoin nation, or somewhere in Middle Earth or somewhere, even the Bitcoiners will, there's going to be a handful of people that end up with all the Bitcoin as well. Okay? There's no utopias. Even in a perfect objectivist world, if it ever existed, you need to fight entropy. Just like a dozen of the world's richest people will turn over every generation as well. That's entropy as well. We've heard of the whole, you know, from short sleeves to long sleeves to short sleeves in 3 generations in families. That sort of entropy is always there. And yeah, so instead of making this too long, I'll just I can go on forever. Yes, I know this is all clumsy, but just a few more things. There'll be a lot more talk on my thoughts, approach, and what Ayn Rand and objectivists may miss in our nature. Until the next time, bye-bye.